Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use, no doubt, continues now. Lance Migliaccio, one of the Big Mig brothers with me, thebigmig.com, for an incredible radio show for their daily broadcasts. They talk about crypto, they talk about finance, they talk about hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use like we do. They just do it all. You have the right to tell people what they don't want to hear. That's part of freedom, ladies and gentlemen. Lance, welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks, Sam. Excited to be here, ready to go, man, as we are. Edge of the knife.
I want to talk about Dr. David Speicher for a second. I just want to kind of highlight something very interesting. You know, sometimes we think if somebody's blind or somebody's deaf or somebody has a speech impediment or whatever, that there's something wrong with their brain. And, you know, I don't know if people realize this, but every one of us has mutated genes and problems. It just depends on where it appears in your DNA. And you know, for me, it's blindness. It's obvious, right? For others, it's, you know, deaf. It's obvious. Others, you can't tell until they speak. Others, you know, look great, act great, but they've got, you know, maybe stability problems. They get depressed everybody has their issues. And I guess I really want people to kind of think about that last hour and think about this doctor that's just brilliant. I mean, the guy's literally written 30 plus peer-reviewed papers. That's rare as all get out to be able to produce that much content that's peer-reviewed. A lot of people have papers out, but the peer-reviewed part's hard. This guy's gone through a ton. He's brilliant. And most importantly, he has a moral compass. He believes in God Almighty. He wants to tell the tale of truth. And the untold story of Dr. David Speicher, it's a tell-all interview about his integrity, his sacrifice, and the high cost of speaking the truth. He lost everything over it, ladies and gentlemen. DavidSpeicher.com if you want to learn more. Now, the reason I spend time on that, though, is I just want to tell you about one of the coolest radio interviews I've ever done. I was actually not on the air at the time. I was a producer for somebody else. My dear friend, James Edwards. And what's interesting about that is that he had a deaf person on the radio with him. And what happened was this deaf person had a, what are those calls called? I can't remember the term right now, but they type back to the deaf person so the deaf person can see what's being said. So this deaf person could speak because they weren't deaf before. And so anyway, this deaf person could speak, but then this operator would behind the scenes type back. Oh, a TTY, that's the term. Anyway, a TTY. And so this person would type back, and I was the producer. So I worked with the person that was doing the typing for the deaf person. And so you got a blind producer and a deaf person doing radio. What do you think of that, Lance?
I think it's great because at the end of the day, just because somebody has a disability doesn't make them the right person for the job. You know, I don't believe in DEI hiring, but I do believe that lots of people with disabilities have a lot to offer. And I don't think they should be treated as second-class citizens. So I love that story, Sam.
Anyway, it was a great interview. And folks, just, you know, think about what he had to say. Give him a little bit of a break and focus on the content. The content he's saying is, listen, these vaccines, this RNA stuff, this gene therapy stuff, under the guise of being called a vaccine, is a flat-out sham. People are dying. People are being maimed and everything else. And these guys, when I say these guys, I mean truth-telling physicians who want to first do no harm and keep their, what do they call that? Hippocratic Oath? Hippocratic Oath. Yeah, Hippocratic Oath. I mean, those guys are the real heroes. But here's what's happening, Lance, and I want to speak to this for a second. They're drumming out all the good people in the military. They're drumming out all the good people in the medical world. They're drumming out all the good people in the media. I mean, anybody who's evil, willing to, for a filthy lucre, sell their soul, if you will. All those people are kind of staying and becoming rock stars. They're literally destroying every institution worldwide.
Well, you're right over the target, and there's no doubt. Maybe if it was one incident, we could say, oh, that's harmless error, or maybe that really isn't anything. But when you see a pattern, a recurring pattern like this that goes on and on and on, you have to believe there's intent. You have to believe it's part of a bigger operation. I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, but, you know, conspiracy theory is only usually 6 months away from becoming the truth. And I think in this case, Sam, you're right over the target. Of course, they'll probably suspend us for that.
Well, all I can say is we are going to be truth tellers. We've done it forever. We've been attacked by everybody and their dog. And you know what? The truth sets us free eventually. Now, Stephen Miller dropping a pretty big bombshell. Let's talk about this one, Lance.
Well, it's a bigger story than anybody even recognizes, because I don't think that it's only going on in Minnesota. But of course, I'm talking about the Somalian fraud rings that are operating in Minnesota currently. I understand they may also be in Columbus, Ohio. But we're talking about this may be one of the biggest taxpayer heists in U.S. history. It started out where they were saying it was hundreds of millions, and then it went to $1 billion. Now they're saying it's $8 billion. And this money isn't just being stolen and used to buy Lamborghinis and exotic vacations to Dubai. It's also
although it is that.
Yeah, it is that too. And of course we're hearing about these Somalians that are driving around in brand new vehicles all over Minnesota, acting like they can't make any money. But now we're also finding the money's being funneled to Al-Shabaab. Of course, you know about that Somalian terrorist organization. They've been in the news cycle many times. But, this is a web of lies. It's draining billions from American pockets. We're talking about fake meals for ghosts, phantom autism diagnoses. All of a sudden, Somalians' children have 1 in 16 statistics of being autistic. Why? Because it's a great way to get additional money, cash funneled straight to jihadists. This has got to be the greatest welfare scam currently.
How much do I get if I claim that I'm autistic, Lance?
Listen, I'm ready to put you on the list. I might adopt you and say you're autistic. In fact, I need to adopt your whole family and say everybody in your family is autistic, because you've got a gigantic family, Sam. I'll be a millionaire overnight. I can just sit back and rake it in. But as the feds are digging deeper, the political elite and mainstream media are trying to hit the mute button on this. This is huge.
What they're really trying to do is cover it up, and who really wants to stop it versus who really wants to just basically take it underground, or who wants to just let the criminals go. It's kind of hard to ferret that out at this point. But let's play clip 1 and then talk about it more. Here it is. Sure.
So far, we believe that the Somali fraud operation in Minnesota is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. We believe that we have only scratched the very top of the surface of how deep this goes. And you're familiar with all the scams, with pretending that children have autism who are not in fact autistic, with pretending to enroll people in food programs when in fact nobody was ever enrolled, and engaging in massive fraud, lying, and theft and grift on a scale we've never seen before in American history. The total bill, the total tab for this is going to be far beyond the numbers we've already seen reported. We believe the state government is fully complicit in this scheme, and we believe that what we are going to uncover is going to shock the American people. Look, based on the records that we already have, and this is a significant undercount, by the way, 75% of the Somali population in Minnesota is on welfare. But that's likely a significant undercount of just how much of a financial burden the Somali refugee population is imposing on this country.
There you have it, Lance. It's beyond imagination. But here's the problem. They want to blame it on the state of Minnesota. And I think the state of Minnesota has plenty of blame there. No question about it. But it's really caused by the federal government having these programs in the first place. There's nothing constitutional that even allows them to have these health care programs and passing out money to the states for autism and for all these other strange reasons. I'm not attacking anybody with autism. Don't misunderstand my point. I'm just saying we want to blame it all on Minnesota, but we got to blame it on the federal government too. Minnesota couldn't even have globbed onto that money if it hadn't been available with no oversight. Lance?
Well, the fraud they've been covered so far, there's no doubt they're taking advantage of these, federal and state programs like child nutrition, housing aid, Medicaid, and of course, services for disabled people. But of course, you're right. They've identified a loophole. The federal government hasn't been policing this. The state governments haven't been policing it. But the inaction by both entities, you have to wonder the complicity, because we're hearing already that Tim Walz had money funneled down to him, that Ilhan Omar had money put into her campaign. There's even photos of her with one of the biggest fraudsters up there, and the question is it, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil? Is it intentional because they know that this money is going to trickle down to them? And of course, in the meantime, who gets built? America, the American people, $39 trillion in debt. Let's face it. These people shouldn't be getting paid in Congress to do this job because the job looks like they have intentionally done it in a manner that's enriched them. So my take on this, Sam, is it look the other way, or is it look the other way because I'm going to get some of the cheddar?
I think it's the latter. I think they're saying that, look the other way, and I think nobody really wants to take the blame. Now, we can say Stephen Miller drops bombshell and they call a halt to the con game, at least publicly in the news. They're saying how horrible this is. But who's going to jail? We'll talk about it. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live with Lance Migliaccio, one of the big Mig brothers, and yours truly, Liberty Roundtable Live in seconds.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcasts at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
You know where the solution can be found, Mr. President? In churches, in wedding chapels, in maternity wards across the country and around the world. More babies will mean forward-looking adults, the sort we need to tackle long-term, large-scale problems. American babies in particular are likely going to be wealthier, better educated, and more conservation-minded than children raised in still industrializing countries. As economist Tyler Cowen recently wrote, quote, "By having more children, you're making your nation more populous, thus boosting its capacity to solve climate change. The planet does not need for us to think globally and act locally so much as it needs us to think family and act personally. The solution to so many of our problems, at all times and in all places, is to fall in love, get married, and have some kids."
We're talking about over $1 billion, they say, of Somali network stolen money in the state of Minnesota. They say primarily involving what they call Somali American networks. What is a Somali American network, Lance? That alone, in my opinion, is going, what? Hold on a minute. Is it American? Is it Somali? No, it's a cabal of all the above, and they've got Congress women involved in it. They've got state leaders in it, and the whole state was complicit in this thing. We're talking about federal prosecutors looking at this thing and ongoing an investigation. But you got to kind of wonder. It's all tied to COVID. That's kind of where this thing, I mean, it was done before this from what we understand, but it kind of went on steroids under COVID, right?
Well, yeah, the social programs, any opportunity Congress has to increase those across the nation through justifiable false news, sure, jump on board because the filter down, the trickle down is real. The grift is real. These programs that they came out, there's one called Feeding Our Future, which was a child nutrition program. The Somalians found it as a loophole. And what does that mean? 250 to 300 million in fraud. That's the largest single case. The ringleader, Amy Bach, was convicted in 2025, but they still haven't clawed back the money. I don't even know if they're going to find the money. So far, we've only recovered about 75 million in all these programs. Here's another one. House Stabilization Services, 104 to 300 million in fraud. They're talking about 7 defendants tied to Medicaid waivers. But again, that program has been suspended for review. But what about the 300 million, Sam? Are the taxpayers going to get the money back? And that Autism Therapy Services looks like it started out, they thought it was 14 million. Now they're saying it's 399 million in missing money.
Well, my
ghost
question
clinics.
is, on one hand, they want us to believe the Somalis did this. And I think that the Somalis are certainly the recipients of the criminal activity, for sure. But I wonder, did Somalis really do this? Or did Tim Walz do this? Did Omar do this? I don't think the Somalis could have figured this out and milked these loopholes like they did without government leadership involvement. And that's what I'm talking about. Whose head's going to roll? So far, we hear about a massive $1 billion scandal. Wow, the Somalis did it. A bunch of illegal bad guys. They're all on welfare. But who let them all get on welfare? Because I don't know how it is for you, Lance, but I don't think I could figure out all these loopholes and get this all done and pull this money down and hand it to this illegal and criminal population and all this kind of stuff. They had to have help from the inside big time. Will Tim Walz survive this?
I don't think he should. I don't think any of them should. I don't think Ilhan Omar. Of course, we know about her immigration fraud when it came to her brother. Second marriage, she marries her brother to make him a legal citizen. But we don't have our brightest and best in Congress. We don't have our brightest and best in local government. It's he who controls the purse who's in these positions of power. Let's face it. Does it really make any sense that it takes millions of dollars to win, to be a congressional member when the job pays $174,000 a year? Why would you spend millions, even millions of your own money to become a political official? Well, of course,
look
we
at
know
AOC.
why.
You go in as a church mouse bartender and you come out as a rock star with big money, right?
I'd have to say she went in as maybe a slutty bartender. Some of the stuff online about her is not
It's
good.
strange. It's weird for sure.
Yeah, and listen, the men. I think they should have to take IQ tests. Jasmine Crockett, she's got the IQ of an orange. I think I'm insulting the orange, Sam. I'm insulting the orange saying that.
And now she's running for Senate because she has plenty of money and plenty of inside backing. And you know what? I hate to say it, but she might make it because the Republicans are melting down in 26 if we're not very careful. Now, listen to this, though. Housing for drug addicts was supposed to cost, what, $2.6 million? Now it's $100 million?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like, what?
Yeah.
So here's the problem. Where's the oversight, though? Who controls the release of this money? They're the ones that are accountable because let's say I run a business, I'm the accountant. And then all of a sudden you find out the warehouse guy stole a bunch of money. Unless he's somehow a computer hacker and the accountant didn't know or some strange scenario, the guy had to have help and work and involvement and turning a blind eye from the inside somewhere, right?
Well, so far, 100%. There has to be the hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, with the hopes that you're going to get your own portion of the scam. But isn't this ongoing? Isn't this what Doge started to uncover? The billions stolen through USAID? We still haven't seen any arrests for that. What about the clawback? Did Chelsea Clinton, who provided really no beneficial services to the American people, she got $84 million. She took that money and bought an $11 million mansion.
And we're not even looking into it.
She spent $3 million on a wedding. Now, what kind of a disservice is that to the American people? What about all the social media influencers? And now what we're seeing in Minnesota, and I'm hearing rumors, Sam, I'm going to give you a tidbit here. This same operation is running in Columbus, Ohio. Now, I don't know how many other states.
Hold on. You're going to find out that it's running in all kinds of liberal states. California, Oregon, Washington, right up the West Coast, and then in the Northeast and stuff like that. You're going to find out that this is a scandal that you cannot imagine. The real question is, will anybody go to jail or will there be kind of no harm, no foul, glad we stopped it idea? Here's clip 2. Let's play this and talk about this, too.
In New York. So one startling example sticking out concerns a program to help recovering addicts find stable housing. Initial estimates for the housing program was for just under $3 million annually. But an indictment shows grifters fraudulently billed Medicaid more than $100 million last year alone. Garrett Tenney is live on this out of Chicago for us. What do you have, Garrett?
Well, Sandra, several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have told state lawmakers that by the time these investigations are through, they believe the actual size of this fraud, the amount of taxpayer dollars that has been stolen, could be higher than $8 billion. We are already seeing some of that. 2 days into the Small Business Administration's investigation, Secretary Kelly Loeffler says the agency has uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud. And the state itself is now looking into the possibility of fraud in another Medicaid program. Minnesota's Department of Human Services is now pausing the issuing of new licenses for disability service providers over concerns of fraud after an explosion in the number of applications for new licenses over the past 5 years, going up 283%, while the number of people needing those services only increased by 25%. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire for all of this happening under his watch, but he says they have investigated every claim of fraud that's come in, something whistleblowers dispute, and says the state is taking the steps it needs to keep it from happening again.
We've acknowledged that this is serious, needs to stop. It is stopping. People are continuing to go to prison. I think the good news for Minnesotans to know when that 90-day pause is over and the third-party audits are done, we will have a better picture than we've ever had, which I think is really good.
While all of these investigations are getting underway, Republican lawmakers are sounding the alarm about Minnesota's new paid leave program launching next month that allows anyone in the state, regardless of their citizenship status, to take 12 weeks of paid leave a year paid for by the state. GOP lawmakers say the program is ripe for abuse.
It was written so broadly that you can take advantage of it and abuse it, and no one's going to come looking for you. The taxpayers put in a bunch of money to launch the whole thing. So this is going to be the next horrible thing coming out of Minnesota.
So they don't even come close to stopping it. They want you to believe they've got a handle on it. This thing's going to reach $1 trillion and keep rolling north. I mean, it's 90 mile an hour north there, Lance.
Sam, I just have a question. Do you get 12 weeks of paid leave?
Hey, man, listen, I've had 8 children. My wife and I delivered our babies at home, and I never even got a day off.
Neither did I. And 12 weeks of paid leave paid for by the taxpayers. How does a person do their job taking off 12 weeks? And again, what's the intent behind this? The intent, in my opinion, is another grift. And this is ongoing.
Yeah, the real intent is to move towards a universal basic income for everybody, right? I mean, that's the real agenda. You'll own nothing and you'll be super happy, Lance.
Well, if you can control people through social programs, if you control their monetary needs through that, if you get everybody on where they get a free cell phone and they get free insurance and they get 12 weeks of paid leave and now they get this program and that program and little or no work is occurring, well, of course, yeah, because what do? Oh, sorry, Sam, you violated the rules. We're going to take away your free cell phone. Oh, sorry, Sam, because you did this and you posted on social media, we're going to take away 6 of your 12 weeks of paid leave. If you don't step in line, Sam, you're going to lose your free housing. That's control, right? That when you control all the pieces, you can stop people from doing what's necessary, which is actually to be a good American, a good citizen. I don't want these people here. Listen, I'm going to tell you quickly a very short story. I spent some time in Mogadishu. It's an ugly place. What I saw firsthand, I'd have to say in general that I don't like the Somalian people. Maybe people will hold that against me. It's not racism. It's the fact that I saw it firsthand. These people, what we're seeing here, they're not coming into our country to be absorbed into our culture. They're separating their culture, as you've seen in Dearborn, Michigan. We're seeing it in Minnesota. We're hearing about it in Columbus, Ohio. I don't want these people here. I'm going to be honest. Call it racism if you like, but it's not racism. I want people like Dr. Speicher here. I want experts. I want engineers. I want computer programmers. I don't need a bunch of people that are going to grift off the system, milk the system, and force us further into our ugly debt hole. I want real Americans.
We want people who want to come to America and jettison their old ways. We don't want dual allegiances. We want people that say, I want to become an American. I believe in the liberties afforded by the American way. I believe in the checks and balances of the supreme law of the land. I believe in the rule of law. I don't seek for power. I seek to pull it down. Those are the kind of people we want to come to the country, the ones that want to learn English. And, hey, that's what we need in America, ladies and gentlemen. These people want no part of it. In fact, this congresswoman married her brother. Tom Homan's digging into it. We'll get to that coming up. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live. I'm Sam. He's Lance. You're you. And you're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. A federal judge in San Francisco is ordering the Trump administration to end the deployment of California National Guard troops in Los Angeles. Another ruling of note from a different court. A judge says secret grand jury transcripts from Jeffrey Epstein's 2019 sex trafficking case can be made public. The judge joins two other judges in granting the Justice Department request to unseal the investigative material. President Trump says his top priority is to make America affordable again. He talked about that at a big rally last night in northeast Pennsylvania.
Facing criticism over the high cost of living, the president used his visit to Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania, to blame Joe Biden and Democrats for the affordability crisis.
The Democrats go out, prices are too high. Yeah, they're too high because they caused them to be too high. But now they're coming down.
He acknowledged there's more work to do in improving the economy, even as he defended his tariff policy and pointed to falling gas prices. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The president is expected to hold a series of campaign-style rallies in advance of next year's crucial midterm elections. The strategy is to get the president out there in hopes that will get more pro-Trump voters to the polls. Miami will be getting its first Democrat mayor in several decades.
Democrat Ilhan Higgins has won the Miami mayor's race, defeating Republican Emilio Gonzalez, who was endorsed by President Donald Trump.
Well, we did it!
Higgins will be the first woman to lead Miami. With nearly all the votes counted from Tuesday's voting, Higgins led Republican Gonzalez by about 19 percentage points. Audio courtesy of WSVN. I'm Donna Warder.
Later today, the Fed will be announcing its latest decision on interest rates. Ahead of that, the Dow is up 100 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-366-6161. That's 800-366-6161. 800-366-6161.
The Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit legal foundation committed to protecting our unalienable right to publicly acknowledge God. The Foundation for Moral Law exists to restore the knowledge of God in law and government and to acknowledge and defend the truth that man is endowed with rights not by our fellow man, but by God. The Foundation maintains a twofold focus. First, litigation within state and federal courts. Second, education. Conducting seminars to teach the necessity and importance of acknowledging God in law and government. How can you help? Please make a tax-deductible contribution, allowing Foundation attorneys to continue the fight. You may also purchase various Foundation products as well at morallaw.org. Located in Montgomery, Alabama, the Foundation for Moral Law is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c3 founded by Judge Roy Moore. Please partner with us to achieve this important mission. morallaw.org.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from by-the-number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at cspoa.org. That's cspoa.org.
Welcome back to Liberty Roundtable Live. Of course, we're here with Sam Bushman, myself, Lance Migliaccio. And what are we talking about? We're talking about fraud. We're talking about massive fraud. And the question is transparency, accountability, consequences. I know that's what I voted for. I know that's what Sam voted for. And I'm not seeing it yet, although we do have some good news. I love Tom Homan. I think he's one of those people in the administration that's actually doing the job the way he's supposed to. He's definitely a pipe hitter and knows what's going on. And now he's investigating, finally, Ilhan Omar's immigration files over the alleged fraudulent marriage to her brother. Yeah, I didn't stutter. You heard me right. She married her brother, and that was her second marriage, not her first. That marriage was done, of course, to facilitate her brother's greasing the skids to become a citizen of the United States. It doesn't surprise me. Somalian fraud's rampant. And Omar, of course, she's saying that she doesn't want to be asked about the allegations of immigration fraud on her interviews. She's preemptively telling people like CBS, Face the Nation, I don't want to discuss that. I don't want to talk about it. Why? Because it's probably true. The question is, are we going to see transparency? Are we going to see her face the consequences of her actions?
I hope so. What I find fascinating is we can't even really verify the truth, right?
Well, of course, they don't want it. You can't handle the truth, Sam. That's the story.
Sure I can. Find out the truth, say they're a criminal enterprise, kick them both out of the country, say they entered on the principle of fraud, and they're gone. It's really simple. That's what I'd take. That's what I'd do.
But I don't want to see her just kicked out of the country. I want her to do her jail time first, and then I want her kicked out of the country.
It's the same thing I want to see for the mortgage fraud. She can hang at Guantanamo Bay for a while. Anyway, here's Tom Homan. Let's check this out.
It was set up for insurance companies to become rich, okay? That was why they, in my opinion, I think the Democrats did it for that reason. Do you know that insurance company stocks have gone up 16, 17, 1,800% over a short period of time? They've been paid trillions, not billions, trillions of dollars. And what I'm saying is very simple. I don't want to pay them anything. No money for the insurance companies. Sorry, fellas, I know them all. No money for the insurance companies. I want to pay the money directly to the people and let the people get their own health care. But you know who's fighting me in that? The Democrats.
All right, there's Donald. Little switching gears from the Tom Homan thing. Anyway. But Donald's right on one hand that, you know what, we don't want to give the insurance companies all this money. But I don't want to do socialism the Republican way, which means hand it directly to the people, too. Why don't we just shut down those programs and let the American people keep their own money, Lance?
Listen, the insurance fraud's rampant. We've seen it all across the nation. We're seeing it even in the automobile business where they'll intentionally wreck cars. There's a high level of that in Minnesota where they're wrecking cars intentionally, and they bought the cars wrecked already. So they get insurance on a wrecked vehicle. They claim it was wrecked recently, and they defraud the insurance companies. But insurance companies, the lobbyists that they use in Washington, D.C., crazy. And, of course, they push the programs, the 1,800% increases. Well, Congress is allowing that to happen because, of course, what do? Oh, yeah. Hey, you're running for election. The insurance company is going to give you some money. We're going to handle you. We're going to control you through the money. I think, honestly, Sam, that the congressional members should have to wear NASCAR jackets. And everybody they got money from, they should have to get a patch. And the biggest patches are their biggest sponsors. Maybe then the American people would tell the truth. In fact, as a matter of fact, I'm going to add something to this. When a congressional member gets up to speak in Congress, he has to disclose his sponsors. So before he starts, he has to say, I'm sponsored by Vanguard, BlackRock, Pfizer, yada, yada, yada. So that when he's speaking, we know exactly why he's getting on a program. Because it's the money, Sam. It's always about the money.
It's no doubt about it. And I apologize to everybody. It was my fault for calling for the wrong clip. But Donald's right about the fact that they're just milking us dry with cash. Insurance is going up, not only just for the government insurance, or they call it Obamacare, but it's really the Republican-Democrat care, because the Republicans could have got rid of it. They voted like 40 times to get rid of it when they knew they had no chance for it to really pass. Once they had the really ability to make it pass, they just, punted and didn't do it. And so it's really, government care, not really Obamacare, because Romney was the Republican. Sad to say he represented our state too. But anyway, that was a fraud in and of itself, just my opinion, to which I'm entitled. I digress, except to say, hey, they're all guilty of this. And I don't want to really just do Donald's plan, take it away from the insurance companies and hand it directly to the people. Why should we send our money to Washington for them to send it back to us? And if we're getting back more than we send to Washington, eventually the system's going to implode anyway. Anyway, that's the deal with that, and I apologize for the misdirection on that. Now, here's the fourth clip. This is the Tom Homan one, right? Let's try this. Oh, no, four is still Trump? All right, I guess we didn't have a Tom Homan clip, Lance. Sorry about that.
I don't know. I didn't know what George actually sent over.
Right.
So
anyway, we're okay. So all I'm telling you is Tom Homan speaking out, saying he's going to get to the bottom of it. I believe Tom Homan's one of the true blue ones. I really do. And I pray he gets to the bottom of it. The problem is, again, we can investigate these crimes, but it takes several branches of government to completely prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. You got to have an investigative arm, which is the executive branch, usually a sheriff or something like that. And then you've got to pass it to kind of a DA or an attorney general or somebody on the court's side of the discussions to actually file those indictments and everything else. Most of the time, they just won't convict, Lance. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, and of course they claim the statute of limitations. I don't really know if that's true, that there's a statute of limitations, because I thought fraud vitiates everything. At the end of the day, Tom Homan's suggesting that somehow that there is a statute of limitations. They say 5 years. But I really have to wonder, if you lie on federal documents and you commit fraud, is there really a statute of limitations? Are you required by law to say, oh, sorry, we didn't convict her in that time period? And I'm talking about Ilhan Omar. But a lot of people believe, and it looks like that in federal government, there's a 10-year window for statute of limitations. But why is Tom Homan bringing that up? I'm tired of this, Sam. I'm going to say this. I'm fed up. I'm sick of it. I want accountability. I want consequences, and I want it now. When do I want it, Sam? I want it now.
I don't know this, Lance. This is something important to kind of understand. I don't know if it's really a statute of limitations, but here's my point. If we uncover crimes, I don't think you can say the statute of limitations starts when the crime occurred, as much as you can say, well, we didn't even know about it. How could we prosecute if we didn't know? There needs to be an adjustment or an update to the law that says, hold on a second. You commit a crime and time goes by and no one's the wiser, and then they are aware of it and they run out of time.
Well, isn't it an ongoing conspiracy? If you commit fraud, if you have the mens rea to commit a crime, which is the mental state that you chose to commit that crime, is it an ongoing fraud? Because the American people believe that Ilhan Omar's brother was here legally. The fact that he's maintaining his status and he's taking advantage of a loophole that Ilhan Omar took advantage of by marrying him, isn't that an ongoing criminal conspiracy? The fact that the American people were defrauded and that Ilhan Omar committed fraud? When does it become concurrent criminal enterprise? If he's continuing to benefit from the social services or benefit from being a citizen of the United States, isn't that an ongoing criminal conspiracy? And that's my argument. Aren't the fact that Letitia James committed mortgage fraud and it's an ongoing criminal conspiracy? She's defrauding the mortgage.
Every time she continues to pay that mortgage for the next 30 years, or I don't know what the term of it is, but every time she makes a payment, she continues the fraud.
Right. She's perpetuating the ongoing conspiracy. Every act that's an overt act to continue the fraud is part of the criminal conspiracy. So I would argue that all of these people, whether it's mortgage fraud, immigration fraud, stock fraud, right? Insider trading like Nancy Pelosi. How are those not ongoing criminal conspiracies? Because Nancy Pelosi is continuing to enjoy the fruits of her deceit, the fruits of her crime, right? How does this, and that's my point, Sam. If it was you, if it was myself, we're in jail for an extended period of time if we committed any of these crimes, even in a smaller version.
And we're not even just in jail, though. We're in jail with some very, they train these. I mean, Steve Stockman speaks about this, former congressman who's now running again. I pray he wins. He's promised us we're going to do a broadcast live from his congressional office, by the way.
I love it.
So it's going to be incredible. Anyway, all I'm telling you is this guy is for real, though, and it took 4 grand juries. Forget double jeopardy. In his case, it was quadruple. I don't know what you call that thing, But anyway, they took 4 grand juries to convict him because it was based on criminal activity, fraud on their end, not wrongdoing on his end. But the reason I bring this up is he tells me that, you know what, they have political hits on you in prison where they make your life intentionally difficult, right?
No doubt. There's no doubt that the prison system is organized in a manner that the warden passes it down to the guards, as an example. And they will do things like toss your cell constantly. They'll put you in the shoe. They'll create things that aren't even true, fabricate, because you might have an offense level. I don't know what Steve Stockman's offense level when he went in, and you might have qualified for a camp. They can do a thing called a management variable to you, Sam, where they escalate your offense level without any justification, without any proof, and all of a sudden you're on your way to a low. And they can.
But if you're Ghislaine Maxwell, Lance, the opposite happens. They take this and they basically reduce your level of threat or concern or whatever else, and kind of let you walk around the camp and have special dinners and hang out in your socks and just kind of chill. And they do the opposite too for their favorite inside clowns. It's a tragic reality, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to stand for the sacred cause of liberty. It's a lot of hard work, people, and it's dangerous to do so these days. Telling the truth is a revolutionary act, I'm telling you right now. Lance and Sam back in seconds. You're watching Liberty Roundtable live.
What do you wish your parents would do to show you they love you? Take me to Montana. That I would have a huge slumber party with all the girls there. Play with me more often. My mom's so busy with the board meeting. Just spend more time together as a family. Do more out-of-the-house activities. This is a tough one. My parents, they do everything to love me. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have a roof over my head.
They don't need to show it to me. I just know they love me.
Well, not yelling at me very much. What do you wish? What do you wish?
Raise my allowance.
To not argue together.
Have my dad be home more for dinner and stuff so that I could be even closer.
Family, isn't it about time?
Buy me an ice cream and kiss me to love me.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay, what's the next question?
Get ready to be part of something incredible. We're breaking barriers and delivering the powerful stories that mainstream media won't touch. Your support is what fuels our mission to revolutionize journalism and bring you the truth. Join our passionate community of changemakers by donating at libertynewsradio.com today. Together, we're creating the future of news.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump, they say he's speaking the truth. Yeah. About the stolen 2020 election, Donald says, hey, it's going to be coming out in the next few months. We've got all the goods on them, People need to go to prison over this thing. I appreciate that, Donald. But no offense. Donald said lock her up to Hillary. He let the crowds chant it. He kind of didn't really speak it too much. He'd kind of mouth it a little bit where he kind of could say, well, I didn't really say it. Well, it's debatable. You kind of did, but you didn't. You certainly let people believe that you believed it and that you were going to follow through on it and everything else, and nothing happened. Here's President Trump that I want to talk about it.
Think of it, if our election wasn't rigged, it was a rigged election now, everyone knows. It's going to come out over the next couple of months too, loud and clear, because we have all the information there. But if the election wasn't rigged and stolen, you wouldn't even be talking about Ukraine right now.
All right, so my point is that I don't have any evidence so far. Trump's been in office 4 years in round one, 1 year almost in round two, so 5 years in office. Have you seen anybody, pardon the pun, I'm going to use the term bigly or big league, whatever it is. gone to prison. I see some small heads roll. I see some people getting fired and people getting let go and, stuff like that. But nothing really like severe. Nothing really like real accountability. Nothing. Have you, Lance?
Sam, I'm going to tell you right now that I have as many deep state arrests under my belt as this administration does. I can go out on a limb, and I'm at 100%. That's 100% truth. Because at the end of the day, no, I haven't seen any of it. I heard from many people, Kash Patel in his book, Government Gangsters. I heard from Donald Trump, we were going to drain the swamp. Doge was going to identify all the fraud, and those people were going to face consequences for it, and there were going to be imminent arrests. None of that's happened. Now, who do I blame that on? I don't know. I don't know who to point the finger at. Are they compromised? Is there a reason it's not happening? We were told that that transparency and accountability and consequences were going to be an anchor of this administration. Is it Pam Bondi's fault? I don't know. Is it Kash Patel's fault? I'm not sure. Is it Donald Trump's fault? At the end of the day, you have to get these people jailed, because if there is no rule of law, well, then I want to join the fraud. I want to join the fraud with Sam Bushman. I can act autistic, Sam. You can adopt me. We'll get some social stipends. Because at the end of the day, if the rule of law isn't equally applied, then it has no force and effect. Then nobody in the United States should have to pay attention to federal statutes. And the DOJ should just be shut down. And of course, we don't need the FBI either, because if crime is just going to be rampant, then let's go wild, wild west. I want to go back to being a gunslinger and do whatever I want. I'm going to start robbing stagecoaches.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're talking about. It's insane. And I don't know who to blame either on one hand. On the other hand, though, we've been made a lot of promises, and so far those promises aren't kept. And we're seriously starting to realize the repercussions. Not only did we lose big in New York with that whacked out communist, in my humble opinion, mayor, but it gets worse. Because now Democrats win Miami mayor's office. They were 30 years out of power, writes Patrick Halk. And now they've basically taken over. Okay, are we witnessing a symbolic shift, Lance? I think the answer is clearly yes.
Yeah. I guess it's a symbolic shift, but the truth of the matter is it's frightening. For the American people, is that not frightening? Are we not concerned about what that means for our future? We're going to lose the midterm, Sam. Polymarket, who's been incredibly accurate when it comes to elections. Of course, it's a gambling odds site. I don't gamble, but I do look at Polymarket for statistics. You look there. They say 80% we lose the midterms. Then what happens? They're going to fill it up with nothing but impeachment. They're going to shut down any of the positive things that have been done because the executive order is only too strong. But this
Congress, they're going to take off the gloves and go after guys like me and you, though. We won't be allowed to freely speak and do what we're doing and say what we're saying. They'll go after us hardcore, Lance.
This Congress is worthless. And you're right. As soon as they take control, who knows what the consequences are going to be for a couple of truth tellers like you and myself. Maybe we can be cellmates, Sam. We'll keep the cell nice and clean. We can get our commissary every month, and we can just sit around and work out.
Yeah, it'll be like the boys club, won't it, Lance?
Yeah.
We won't have any chicks want to come into our thing. It only works the other way,
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe we could pretend we're chicks and get in the chicks,
Well, yeah, the homosexuals in prison can be pretty popular, I've heard.
I'm wanting to leave this for sure. All I can tell you is, folks, we don't mean to be so negative, and we don't mean to be so jaded. But the problem is, what can you do? Everybody expected Donald Trump to change this thing. He promised a bunch first go round. Then he said, oh my gosh, I kind of underestimated the swamp. It's not a swamp, folks. A swamp has an ecosystem. This thing's a flat out criminal sewer. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, all I'm saying is, and we thought, okay, then we said, okay, we'll give Donald a second chance. Biden's way worse. Donald's better. He is way better. I'm not going to pretend he's like Joe Biden. But at the same time, yes, it's better. But it's not enough better to turn the boat around. It's not enough better to stop us from falling off the cliff. We're still spending money like drunken sailors as a country. We're in debt $38 trillion, and it's not about to stop anytime soon. And instead of shutting down the communist criminal Federal Reserve, we're just going, I want my guy in there. He'll do better. My guy will do better than the clown that's there now. My guy will lower interest rates. We don't need Donald or any other clowns or any criminal board or anybody else changing, banking cartels changing interest rates. What we need to do is let the free market deal with all this stuff. We need to shut down literally 85, 90% of the government, Lance. We really do. And until we get that done, we're not going to be any really better off. We'll have a little hiatus, a little kind of a break from the destruction going on in the country, but it's only a temporary halt or slowdown. It's not change the game, turn the boat around, make a difference, restore the republic.
No, listen, this government is not the government that our founders and framers envisioned. They put all sorts of stops in place. That's why we have the Bill of Rights. That's why we have, the constitutional
branches
amendments
of government. Right.
Yeah. The point is, this is not bloated, gigantic, all-controlling, all-encompassing government was never the plan. $39 trillion in debt, folks. That's with a T. Think about what it's going to take to pay that off. Yes, we're hearing that the tariffs are going great. But at the end of the day, are the tariffs enough? When you have institutions like the Federal Reserve controlling your currency, printing a fiat currency, I'm not even sure at this point, and I don't want to be the purveyor of doom and gloom, but I have to say this out loud. I'm not even sure there is any gold in Fort Knox. We were supposed to hear about an audit.
Donald was going to roll in with a headlamp, wasn't he? Donald.
We were going to go in with video cameras. We were going to show the American public we had all this gold. I'm not, and to be honest with you, even if they did that, I would want an independent expert to test that gold. Because let's face it, maybe they're just lead bars painted with gold paint, Sam.
Yeah, they might be tungsten, huh?
Could be tungsten, and that's a tough one. And you know the story behind tungsten. Of course, testing tungsten comes back the same way. So my point is,
you better be careful, my friends.
We have wanted things to be different, and I'm not sure. We're already a year in. I expected we were going to be filling up Gitmo. We were going to be filling up with all these people that had committed crimes against the American people and of course the U.S. government, all the collusion and fraud. But yet, Sam, nothing but crickets. I've got my a copy of Government Gangsters back here, and I'm starting to think I ought to just use it for some tinder in the fireplace.
Well, at the end of the day, I look at it and say, I think Tom Holman's done a lot of good. I think that we've really done quite well on the border. I don't mean to be negative. I'm not saying no good has happened. I think Donald Trump has a nose for truth on a lot of topics, and I think he speaks out. I think if he'd just carry out half of what he talks about, would be in a lot better shape. But we need to realize we cannot just, administer fiat decisions, because they'll just be overturned by the next clown that
100%.
Becomes president of the United States. We've got to have the branches of government working together. And Mike Johnson has been the single primary undermining of these issues, right? I mean, he really has. And I don't see him getting any. There's a few women that are critical of Mike Johnson, but for the most part, no one's even basically saying he's the problem. He's shut down almost everything we need for Congress to codify President Trump's actions.
Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. They're talking the talk, but I don't see them walking the walk, and that includes Johnson and many others. If this administration is having difficulty with any of the choices they made, if Pam Bondi or anybody else needs to be moved out, well, now's the time. And at the end of the day, if you aren't going to go after these people for violating the law, then here's my take. I don't want the DOJ. Shut it down tomorrow, and let's just go completely lawless across the nation so we can all benefit. I'd like to have an $11 million mansion, but I don't. At the end of the day, until there's consequences for actions, this is just more of the same from this administration and all the prior administrations.
And we're not advocating, ladies and gentlemen, for looting or lawlessness. We're not advocating for that. We're making a point that if the few get to do that, why not us? So we're not saying we want that. We're just kind of we're demonstrating the absurd by being absurd a little bit. The only way to really solve the problem is to crack down, prosecute to the full extent of the law. Start with people like Anthony Fauci. Start with Omar. Start with the Clintons. Start with the people that are obvious, the Comeys. Start with Ghislaine Maxwell. Why does she have, let me ask this, with Kash Patel there, Pam Bondi and Donald, why does Ghislaine Maxwell have a lighter sentence? She was moved from a stronger prison to a lighter prison camp from Florida to Texas or whatever it was. Why are we even allowing that to happen? So you see the signs that it's on purpose, Lance.
No doubt. At the end of the day, more of the same, Sam. More of the same, I'm sorry to say.
All right. Well, we keep telling the truth and calling for accountability, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we have as citizens. The ability to do is speak out and tell the tale of truth and hope enough Americans get incensed to demand peaceful, solutions-oriented, constitutional-based, restorational changes. That's what we need, ladies and gentlemen. For Lance Migliaccio, thebigmig.com. Check it out. They're everywhere on Rumble and everywhere else. I'm Sam Bushman, syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks, lovingliberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.